We're ready, Joe? Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you to the Tuesday, June 11th, 2024 Board of Education meeting. We are calling the meeting to order. It is 7:03 p.m. and if everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. A reading of the meeting notice. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of the Act, the Verona Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published in the Star Ledger, posted with the Township of Verona and the Verona Education Association. Posting of this meeting setting forth the time, location, and the agenda were posted at the Verona Board of Education office and on the Verona Public Schools District website. Copies of tonight's agenda and resolutions have been made available to the public via the Board of Education website. Mr. Cruz, if you could please call attendance.
Mr. Walker,
Present.
Mrs. Rosella,
Here.
Mrs. Farrar. The record, Mrs. Farrar is absent today. Mrs. Prisco,
Here.
Mr. Boone.
Here.
We have quorum. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our meeting, I need a motion, please, to approve our minutes from our meeting of May 30th of 2024.
Moved.
Motion by Mr. Waka, seconded by Mr. Boone. Are there any discussions? Mr. Cruz, if you could please call roll on resolution 1.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Mrs. Rosella,
Yes.
Mrs. Prisco,
Yes.
and Mr. Boone.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our agenda, I have our superintendent's report from Ms. Diane DiGiuseppe.
Good evening. I get the happy job tonight of including in my report honoring 2 of our students. So I will start with Michael Lapari, who's here tonight. So we have a proclamation from Michael. Whereas for a proclamation from Michael for being named the Essex County School Board's Unsung Hero. Whereas the Verona Board of Education recognizes and celebrates the achievement of its students, and whereas the Essex County School Board's Unsung Hero Award acknowledges students who demonstrate outstanding character, dedication, and service within their school community, and whereas Michael Lapari, a student of Verona High School, has been selected as the recipient of this prestigious Essex County School Board's Unsung Hero Award, therefore be it proclaimed that the Verona Board of Education extends its heartfelt congratulations to Michael for his remarkable honor and recognition. Be it further proclaimed that the Verona Board of Education commends Michael Lapari for exemplifying the unique qualities of compassion, integrity, and selflessness which have earned him the distinction of being named an unsung hero.
Thank you.
Next is looking to honor Reese, our very, very accomplished board member who's been serving for the past 2 years on the Board of Education. So without any more time, whereas Reese Sahato has served with distinction on the Verona Board of Education, and whereas through their leadership, the Verona Board of Education has gained fresh insights into student concerns, student priorities, and what's in the minds of young people in the community. And whereas they have further contributed to the community by serving as a valuable spokesperson, sharing the student perspective at board meetings, and whereas Reese's exemplary commitment to fellow students and the school district has promoted clear communication between the board, district administration, and the student body. And whereas Reese has maintained a professional decorum at board meetings, shown respect to board members, and strived to learn the proper etiquette of serving on a school board. And whereas they have demonstrated a commitment to advancing the education of all students without neglecting their own responsibility to strive for success in the classroom. Now therefore be it resolved that the Verona Board of Education recognizes Reese Sahato's dedication and commitment to advancing educational opportunities and open communication between the board, district administrators, and the student body. And be it further resolved that the members of the Verona Board of Education extend their sincere appreciation to Reese for their dedicated service to the Verona Board of Education. And be it further resolved that the members of the Verona Board of Education extend their best wishes to Reese in all of their future endeavors. And we have a little something for you too. We can do that now? Do it later? Okay. We have a little something for you, so don't go anywhere. Do it at the end. Okay, so since we just met really last week, there's not really much that happened in between. So I'm going to turn the reins over to Mrs. Palmarisi, who is here to celebrate more student success.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to follow with all these successes of our students here at Verona High School. I can't believe spring, it's not officially over yet. Spring track is still going on, but the majority of our spring teams are completed and we had an amazing season. First up, boys tennis. The team had an overall record of 13-10. They were second in the SEC Colonial Division. And all SEC Colonial Division accolades went to Michael Siclari, Christian Callback, Owen Moy, Yanni Yaniotis, and honorable mention was Griffin Russo. The boys lacrosse team had a great season, double-digit wins, 10-7 in the regular season, and a close, hard-fought battle against Glenridge in the state tournament. They had big wins against opponents in higher divisions, and including an overtime win against Park Regional and a dominating performance against Governor Livingston, as well as beating Cedar Grove for the second year in a row in the rivalry game. The team had 14 all-league and all-division selections, including 5 different first-team players. Dominic Hauk and Harry Sorger crossed the 100-point mark for their careers, and Andrew Healy finished his high school career second all-time in program history with 694 saves in just 3 years of competition. While key leaders on and off the field are graduating, the underclassmen are the core of the team, and the future looks very bright. The Liberty Division all-conference first team was Andrew Healy and Dominic Hauk. Second team was Ryan Cavallo and Harrison Sorger, and honorable mention was Brian Cleaver. Clank Division all-league first team, Andrew Healy, Luke Friedman, Harry Sorger, and Charlie Waka. Second team, Pierce Finkel, Ethan Fursch, Jack Vitatis, and Dominic Hauk. Honorable mention was Gianluca Cicchetta. The 2024 baseball season was a very successful season for the Hillbillies. The 17 wins was the most since 2019, and we finished in our section with the number 2 seed in the NJSIAA playoffs. The team had its best offensive performance in the tenure of our head coach, scoring over 200 runs, and had a team batting average of 346. Julian Santarelli had a 500 batting average and was a first-team all-conference player. Frank Ori and Matt Vaccaro were second team, and Ryan Radigan and Joey Farmer made all-conference honorable mention. Most importantly, the boys always demonstrated class and character on and off the field. The Verona boys and girls golf team consisted of 12 boys and 6 girls this season. The team had an outstanding season in match play, finishing first in the Liberty Division of the Super Essex Conference with a record of 13-1. Overall, the team had a record of 13-3, losing matches to Glenridge, Madison, and West Essex. And now, always with sports, we have some excitement going on. Needing to win the last match of the season against West Essex, the team recorded a season low 155 to beat the Knights on their home course and win the conference championship. The team had a streak of 7 wins in a row and finished the season winning 6 of the last 7 matches. The team finished with a scoring average of 178.6. 6 players received all conference honors. Jack Flannery, first team, Mason Rossi, Nate Zimmer, Thomas Gawley, and Matthew Schwartz were second team, and Matthew Raff was honorable mention. The team also won the inaugural Verona Cedar Grove Cup by a score of 188 to 191. Girls track and field. They were twin borough relay champions, SEC Colonial Division champions, state sectional champions. 3 spring track and field school records were broken. Mally O'Neill in the 100 meters and 200 meters, the sprint medley relay of Gwen Neal, Vivian Butler, Mally O'Neill, and Caitlin Skelfo was also broken. 17 girls qualified for Group 1 championships. Sophomore Gwen Neal was SEC, Essex County, state sectional, and Group 800 meter champion as a sophomore. Tomorrow, she will be competing at Meet of Champions at Pennsauken. All conference first team went to Lauren Chupak, Lucia Grant, Sienna Griffin, Mally O'Neill, Gwen Neely, Morgan Rossi, and Marguerite Valera. Second team was Caitlin Skelfo and Megan Wynn. Honorable mention was Leah Brines and Isabella Lambert. This season, the varsity softball team compiled a 13-10 record. In the Liberty Division, the team was 11-1 and won the Liberty Division championship for the first time in 7 years. We had 3 players make first team all conference, 4 make second team all conference, and 2 with honorable mention. The team made it to the quarterfinals of the state tournament, where the team eventually lost to Whippany Park, 1-0 in extra innings. Our JV team was undefeated this season. Liberty Division first team all conference was Emerson Garrett, Julia Loudon, and Sinclair Zimborski. Second team was Gabby Ignezzo, Danielle Imbriano, Olivia Fuentes, Brielle Marchesi, and honorable mention was Lexi Popowich and Lauren Paz. Girls lacrosse. The girls lacrosse team was a very young team this season with only 2 seniors. They finished the season with a record of 4-17, competing in the highly competitive Stars and Stripes White Division, playing 6 teams ranked in the top 20 in the state of New Jersey. NJIGLL Stars and Stripes White Division and SEC American Division awards went to first team Riley Kenrick and Jane Sorger. Second team, Julia Dacey. Honorable mention, Giada DiLorenzo. Other team accomplishments for girls lacrosse was the 100-point mark by Julia Dacey, 100 goals by Riley Kenrick, 100 points by Jane Sorger, and 100 saves by Aubrey Paul. And finally, boys track. The boys track and field team had a great season. 15 boys qualified at state sectionals to advance to group championships. The team had 3 state sectional champions in javelin, Evan Carlson, triple jump, Josh Sahato, and Ian Zalewski in the 800, 1600, and 3200 meters. 4 school records were broken this season for the boys track and field team. The SMR, which is a sprint medley relay, which is a 200, 200, 400, and 800, was Luca Di Fabrizio, Josh Sahato, Jaden Nigro, and Ian Zalewski. The 4x100 meter record was also broken, and that consists of Madden Brown, Logan Nodig, Josh Sahato, and Jaden Nigro. And Ian Zalewski broke the standing 1600 meter and 800 meter record that was held by Dave Oster. The boys placed second overall as a team in state sectionals, third overall at SECs. Ian Zalewski and Evan Sang received first team all conference. Second team was Jack DeMars and Anthony Lewis, and honorable mention was Michael Kastner and Chris Sluck. Good luck to Ian Zalewski also as he competes in the Meet of Champions tomorrow at Pennsauken. He'll be running the 1600. Special awards this spring. Riley Ying was the NJSIA Scholar Athlete. Patrick Wallman and Ellie Battersby were the Essex County Scholar Athletes. Megan Wynn was Verona's recipient of the Yogi Berra Best Teammate Award. And Gwen Neal and Ian Zalewski both qualified for New Balance Nationals. Our Sports Boosters Awards night will be this Friday night. Hopefully that weather cooperates, and it will be on Salito Field. Before I get back to the senior awards, Reese, I just want to congratulate you. It was amazing watching you as student representative for the Board of Education. Thank you for always supporting Verona athletics. You're going to do tremendous in any field, any path that you take in life. So congratulations, Reese.
Thank you, Ms. Palmarisi, for your wonderful report and so energetic. And congratulations to every single one of our students out there, all our athletes, especially all our seniors that are moving, leaving us. But congratulations to everyone. And Reese, we're going to save you for a little bit later. Oh, we're going to go on to Reese's report, but we're going to talk about you later. Reese, your report.
Okay, so let me pull this up. I'm unprepared tonight. So I just wanted to say, Ms. Prisco, Mr. Boone, and I had the pleasure of being at the Verona Pride flag raising on June 8th. While that's organized by the Multicultural Inclusion and Accessibility Advisory Committee, we had students that were very involved in the ceremony, including AJ Kiernan, who is a Verona High School student, as well as the student representative to that committee. And AJ gave some fantastic remarks regarding being LGBT in Verona and how far we've come and how far we have to go, as well as the Verona High School Jazz Choir, which had some students give performances, and Mr. Flood was also in attendance, introducing them and helping with the ceremony. So I just wanted to say that it's really great that we see that sort of like cross-committee collaboration, and our Verona students did a great job there. June 3rd, really quick, I just wanted to say thank you to the New Jersey School Boards Association. They gave me an opportunity to speak with Mr. Ray Pinney on their podcast, Education Matters. I was really grateful to have an opportunity to speak about the position and get some more information out there and some more resources for students. And for Ms. Di Giuseppe for giving, Ms. Prisco for giving some remarks. I'm sorry, my memory's fuzzy from that. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I'm really glad that NJSBA is putting out some more guidance for this, especially since the initial legislation didn't have much in the way of structure. Senior banquet will be held on June 13th, and I promise this report won't just be senior stuff. But I just wanted to say thank you to Ms. Barone and Ms. Ramos for organizing everything, fundraisers, events, prom, senior banquet, etc., for the class of 2024, and for the other teachers, Mr. Filano and Mr. Bresnan, for the juniors who put a lot of work into these events and a lot of time and effort. The Sports Boosters Awards, as Ms. Palmarisi said, will be held on June 14th, where student athletes will be honored. And again, Sports Boosters put a lot of time, effort, and fundraising into the community, and just thank you for the work they do for students. And graduation will be held on June 19th at 6 p.m. at Solido Field or Caldwell University, depending on weather conditions. And I didn't write this in, but I thought of it after I submitted. The Verona High School will be hosting the extended school year program again this year, which was highly successful, and we heard great things about it last year. So I'm glad to see that that's still on the bulletin for this year. And that's it for me.
Does anyone have any questions for Reese on her last final report?
I would like to make some comments if I may.
Sure. Well, I was going to save it for discussions, but you could do it now if you'd like.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
Sure.
And I think Mama Reese is here.
Mama
Okay.
Reese.
Reese, you have been on this board longer than I have. Which is, you're an inspiration for me, for my daughters. I tell them I want them to grow up to be Reese. I'm sad to see you go. But I'm so thrilled for you because I know there's so much good things out in front of you. If you ever need anything, you know my number. You can use it anytime, day or night. And I'm just so proud of the person you are. And your mother deserves so much credit for that. You raised a good one. Two good, like, not quite.
Yeah,
Not quite
didn't you hear the
I
present?
did, but he's not quite 18. So it's a couple more years. But you, and I am so looking forward to seeing you in 5, 10, 15 years and hearing about the wonderful things you've done. You could have made this just simply come and tell us a little bit about what's going on in the high school and go away. But you have made it a point of being involved in committees. When I tell the boards that our student rep comes to committee meetings, they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, she comes. She reads everything. She understands what's going on. She asks some of the best questions. Um, and she makes it much better. You make the board better. And we appreciate that. You have big shoes to fill. And thank you.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to follow real quickly on that. And I think some of the credit for us having Reese here, Mrs. Freshy, who was with us, helped make some of that happen. But what really strikes me about Reese is that not only is she a role model to her classmates and those who are following behind her, but in a rare situation here, we have Reese, who is a role model for me as a grown-up. And I feel that I have learned probably a heck of a lot more from Reese than she could ever learn from me. And another point to amplify that is everywhere I go that I see a community event, whether it is the food pantry here in Verona, or whether it was the Pride event, Reese is there. She has become part of this Verona community, and leading by example is a very rare trait, and it inspires me to do my job every day. So thank you, Reese.
Thank you, Mr. Van.
So Reese, I like the way you started that, Mr. Boone, because you've worked with this board, but Lisa and Jim Day and Sarah Drappi have also been able to work with you, and the one thing we've always 100% agreed on is how grateful we were to you and how wowed we were by you, and how much value that you added. Like it was so present, and it was a unifying factor in a lot of ways. Um, I think you are a gifted person. I think you absolutely have a gift. And I think your gift is that no matter where you go or wherever your life's passion brings you, you're going to make that environment better for everyone in that orbit. And I think it's been such a treat to just watch you be you, because you're perfect. And we're very appreciative.
My mom has some objections on that one.
I'm going to disagree with your mother strongly.
Reese, so I agree with everyone up here as well, and it has been such a pleasure to work with you and have you here as our first student representative, and what you brought to here every meeting, the questions, being involved, your willingness to just be a part of our retreats, anything we were doing and could include you. You were right there with us, and like everyone said, I'm just really proud of the person that you are. You're just a wonderful human being. And if I wish I could be you, because you are just a wonderful person. And I really, really appreciate you and everything you brought to the board. And we have some gifts for you, but there's a plaque in there for you to take to college and keep for yourself. But we do have this plaque that we had made. It's going to go into the board office. It's in honor of Reese Shahado, our inaugural Verona Board of Education student representative, who led with grace, integrity, and vision. Thank you for being a role model for all to follow. And you are our first plaque on here. So we are truly blessed. We are looking forward to watching you grow, and we hope that you come back and always visit us.
Well, now I have to.
Just
Thank
let
you,
us,
thank you, thank you.
and just let us know when you are in the presidential primaries.
Yes.
Thank you so much. This is amazing and a little overwhelming, and it's really wonderful. And I've had a great 2 years and great leaders on the board and board colleagues. to learn and grow into the position with and grow the position, frankly, and your willingness to include me when you could have said, I don't know about the retreat. I don't know. That's not in the legislation. That's not written down, but being willing to include me in that and extend that role to the student, without that willingness, this would be absolutely nothing. So thank you so much to everyone on the board. Yeah. All right.
So moving on to public comments on agenda action items. And if anyone has anything to say that we're voting on, please come to the podium, state your name, and you will have 3 minutes.
Do we have to do new and old business first or no? Or am I, oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading it.
I didn't
wrong. I
get-
apologize.
Right, I didn't get there yet, right? Okay. Seeing none, we are going to move on to discussion items for new business, old business.
I just wanted to comment real quick on, again, sorry, Reese, on something Reese mentioned about the Pride event over this past weekend. Mrs. Prisco, you were, I think my thing is working here. Mrs. Prisco, you were there as well. And it was truly a community event where we had our town representatives, we had school board members there, county officials. But I was particularly taken by the Verona High students that participated in it. You mentioned AJ Kiernan's speech, and being firmly in Gen X and remembering how taboo things were growing up, going into a high school that was maybe 3 times the size of Verona. People were scared and lived in the shadows, and I was particularly moved by the bravery of AJ Kiernan particularly. And to see us come together as a community and celebrate this, I think is something that we just cannot ignore. And I'm very proud of our community for making that happen. Thank you.
Mr. Boone.
If I could I just have
Okay.
one thing. We touched upon it, I touched upon it a little bit last time when we talked about the pilot funds and pilot building in the town. I was able to do a little bit of digging, and I think I shared it with board members about how much pilot funds Verona actually does receive. It's through the Department of Community Education, I think it is. It's which is a New Jersey department, and they track. I just lost my place. Sorry, they track all of these pilot projects. Not currently, Verona receives funding from 6 different pilot projects in the town. This does not include Verona Flats. That's not on the list yet. And in total, they receive $1,533,568.97 in pilot funds. So that's how much goes into the tax base for Verona, into the community base. If we took a percentage of that, the same percentage that we would say pay in our taxes, which is approximately 58%, for a school board, that's the school's portion of the tax base, that's $889,470,000 that we are not receiving from the township as a school board. And we'll hear, well, they may not bring kids to the community, they may not do this, they may not do that, but they are receiving funds. We're receiving children from some of these developments, but yet we're not receiving anything. And there's a lot that it's all Verona. It's all Verona money. It's all the same pot. It's all Verona money. Well, that's nice, but we need a piece of the pot. We need a piece of the pie, because we cannot keep adding children and removing properties that are taxed from our budget, or else we're just not going to be able to be sustainable anymore. Now, if just to give you a comparison, if these 6 properties were taxed at their assessed value, That would be $3,258,968.02 going into the general town pot. And of that, $1,887,881.45 would be allotted to the school. I think there's a lot of good we could do with that money. I think there's a lot of good we could do with 10% of that money. So I think we have to keep pushing the town council to make some sort of equitable contribution
Huh.
to the school board.
My question there, and yeah, as I've said before, I've never been a fan of the pilot programs for communities such as those in West Essex County. And I agree we need to have an open dialogue and a frank dialogue with our friends on the town council. My question is, how can we best do that in a focused and deliberate manner that can lead to productive conversations? I'm totally open for those kind of communications. I know it's not necessarily going to be enough to stand up in front of the town council at a meeting and say, hey, we want justifiably $800,000. So how do we approach that conversation, and how do we do it in a consistent way that does yield productive results?
You know, in my only 2 years have been here, Ms. Prisco's been here a bit longer, and Mr. Walker. I know that there have been outreach to the town council to sit down and even have a conversation. And that has been met with resistance. You know, we did have at one point, probably about 4 years ago, I want to say now,
Longer,
right around COVID.
longer,
Maybe 5
longer.
years ago.
yeah.
There was a joint
That was
meeting.
long. It was before my term.
yeah.
Bef- Yeah.
Yeah,
before
so
mine,
that was, okay, even
It's
longer
over
than
6
that.
years.
But we have data now. We have better data now.
Right, it's, you know, it's the same data that they probably have. I
Mhm.
mean, I
Right.
didn't really, I didn't find some hidden secret
Yeah, I mean,
spreadsheet somewhere. It was on the NewJersey.gov website, so, you know, all we can do is keep pushing, write a letter,
Right.
maybe the board can.
I mean, going back to my first time being on the board and even attending board meetings, John Quattrochi, Mrs. Freshy, who's here in the audience, did approach the council, different councils, many times as well. And myself, I was at the council meeting just a few weeks ago because
Right.
they were discussing, I think it was the May
Love it.
6th meeting, and they were discussing the project, the Verona Flats, and I brought it up at that point as well. So
So I
we
know
could just keep trying.
we have public correspondence as part of our, requirements on our agenda. I don't pretend that I know how, what obligations they would have at a town council meeting. But if we wrote, because all we could do is really ask, right? And say, here's the why and here's how it's going to help everybody. But if we put some formal correspondence where they would have to at least read it out loud at their council meeting, I think that might be a good first step or next step for this.
There has also been some proposed and drafted resolutions for boards of ed to pass. Again, there's really no teeth in those. It's more about getting out. Yeah, it's more about getting information out to the community that this is an issue.
Perhaps if we could ask Kyle, our attorney, to draft us a sample letter, and then we could see if it works well for us, or if we want to look to make any adaptation. If we could ask Kyle, are they even obligated to read it publicly? But if they are, then it's not going to be a letter with teeth, but here's the why of it. We think you should reconsider your use of these funds.
Thank you, Mrs. Brazella, for all that research. I appreciate it. I do have a couple of quick things I just wanted to, also this weekend, I participated in the Valerie Fund Walk for our one student here in the high school. There was a big turnout for Daria Gebbia. So it was a huge event. It's always a huge event in Verona Park. It was a beautiful day. I also would like to congratulate all our fourth graders who have moving up ceremonies this coming week. On Monday is FN Brown and Forest Avenue School. And then on Tuesday will be Lanning and Brookdale. So congratulations to all our fourth graders who are moving up to the middle school. And then also on Wednesday, congratulations to all our eighth grade students who are moving up, graduating on Wednesday at Caldwell University. And then at night, we have our high school graduation. So congratulations to everyone on their graduation ceremonies. And I think the other thing I wanted to just really briefly talk about too was, so the Valerie Fund was on Saturday. Behind HBW, there was a very large event that took place for Mud, Sweat, and Tears. It was a competition, and to our acknowledgement, they basically made it seem like it was going to be a much smaller event than took place. I think there was noted that it was just 100 people that were going to be in attendance, and there was definitely not. They were there setting up on Friday. They were there setting all day Saturday, blasting music at 7:30 a.m. And then they were there on Sunday, and I approached them on Sunday because they were driving onto our track. And I did call the police twice. With all that said, I believe there needs to be a community calendar that needs to be looked at between the town and the Board of Ed, because the Valerie Fund, if the Valerie Fund is taking place, there should not be any other events going on in the town.
But
And
technically,
we had Pride as well.
technically though, the Valerie Fund is on county property.
Right, but it takes in like 3,000 more, 4,000 people
yes.
that come to our community to go to the park for that event. So moving forward, I know there was cars parked everywhere when I tried to get to the Civic Center for the Pride ceremony. There were cars illegally parked everywhere. And again, I understand the CrossFit competition. It's a good event. It's, fitness and everything like that, but something to that magnitude of people coming into our town, we have to really look at the dates, and we need to charge properly and just,
And they need to make sure we have the staffing.
right,
that-
and
that
they
needs
shouldn't
to
be
be
driving
there,
on the
so
track. So,
security.
Mr. Cruz, one thing I wanted to mention, and I meant to say it earlier, was that if we could get, I took pictures of the signage that was there. If we can maybe get one sign redone, because it doesn't say anything about no driving. I mean, I know it's more of a common sense type of thing not to drive on the track, but then again, I know common sense kind of has gone out with some people. So that's my little,
My questions on this are myriad, and we have, again, a confluence of town responsibility through the police department. We have confluence of what our responsibility is in terms of facility rentals. And I myself on Saturday morning received an email from a resident who was less than pleased, and rightly so. So in no particular order, my questions are in terms of responsibility for managing something of this magnitude. Now, whether or not we had accurate information to start off, let's leave that aside. And in terms of managing for this, is it our responsibility? Is it the Verona, the town of Verona, for something of that huge magnitude because of the parking, because of the noise ordinance? And then finally, how do we manage for such a situation where, let's be honest, we and the town were caught by surprise by this? How do we create an environment where we are not caught by such surprise? Again, regardless of what gets put on that application.
I agree. I agree going forward that we have to just make sure that, even communication, because I know that, I believe that the town council, wasn't aware of the event at HBW as well. And I really don't even think that anything should have actually taken place if the Valerie Fund, and I believe it's always Saturday, the second Saturday in June of the Valerie Fund Walk. So if maybe that Saturday of in June, I think that's the biggest walk that takes place in Verona at the Verona Park all year round. So
Well, if we could get those dates and put them on
Put
our
'em-
internal calendar,
Right.
when Mrs. Hinkowski gets an application, she can double check that calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just more kind of communication with the town, the county going forward, I think. So, thank you. Okay, so moving on to correspondence. Do we have any correspondence? No correspondence. Thank you. Moving on to the rest of our agenda for resolutions. I need a motion, please, to approve personnel resolutions. I'm sorry, A1 to A10.
I'll move it.
Motion by Mr. Waka,
A second.
seconded by Mrs. Rosella. Any discussion? Mr. Cruz, if you could please call roll.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Rosella?
Yes.
Mrs. Prisco?
Yes.
Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to our education resolutions, I need a motion to approve resolutions B1 through B11.
I just have one real minor question on B8 under the selectives and this is just more for my curiosity than anything else, under the true crime. Is that a writing class on like narrative nonfiction or what exactly does that look like? I'm just curious.
That's a good question. With regard to the selectives, they're going to be half-year courses that are focused on reading and writing. So they'll be reading and writing in that genre.
So
Yeah.
it's funny you bring that up because we were helping my son pick his schedule, and we saw that particular class, and I read the bio on it. And it talked about it's a nonfiction ELA focus on crime and its impact throughout the American history. So based on the bio, it looked interesting, and it seemed like the kind of thing that,
I would take any
Yeah.
one of these courses.
yeah. So it seemed
Mhm.
it seemed to me like it hit, but it's funny you brought that up.
Yeah, I was just curious what the approach would be, because it does sound, and as you described it, Mr. Walker, it does sound quite interesting.
I would take monsters and literature. Yes.
Well, that goes without saying.
I did have a quick question on like one of the I don't know if this is more of something to ask Dr. Miller or like, but for conversational Spanish, how would that fit into our current language?
You know what? It's
program?
not conversational Spanish, and that was supposed to be changed. It is cultural Spanish.
Okay,
So this is a Spanish requirement for students that would need a year of support prior to taking Spanish 1 and 2.
okay, gotcha.
And for the B section, I just want to, for B7, just thank the administration and acknowledge that a lot of these administrative appointments were costing district a whole lot of money. And district administrators, they make a good salary, and a lot of the stuff that's here, it really should have been part of their job. So I know we've saved the district about $37,000. By no means, I have no objection to a teacher who's doing something extra to get a stipend. That's something we always want. But I'm glad we're putting a more onus on our administrators and kind of being fiscally prudent. So Jorge, thanks for pushing for that.
Thank you to Diane as well.
Mhm. Okay. So we didn't do a motion. or we did. We did. Okay, so then I just need roll call. Ms.
Just make sure that we
Change.
the world language is Spanish culture.
Cultural.
Yeah, Spanish culture, actually.
We did a motion for A. We're on B now.
Right, I didn't think,
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
I need a motion, please, to approve B1 through B11. Ms. Rosella, seconded by Mr. Boone. Any discussion? We already had the discussion, so I guess we can call.
Mr.
Mr.
Walker?
Cruz.
Yes.
Mrs. Rosella?
Yes.
Mrs. Prisco?
Yes.
Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Moving on to our athletics and co-curricular, I need a motion to approve resolution C1.
I move it.
Motion by Ms. Rosella, seconded by
Sure, me.
Mr. Waka. Any discussion? Moving on, we do not have anything for facilities. Moving,
Roll call.
oh, so Clark.
Mr. Walker?
Before we do that, I just,
Sorry.
in terms of these stipends, and I want them, I'm not voting against them. I just want to make sure, because this came up with one of my children, actually. She wanted to start a debate club. And I said, I think we have a debate club. So it seems, she goes, no one ever told me that we had one. I asked about it. So I would love to see a way that we can advertise these great clubs. I know we have the club fair at the beginning of the year, and I know there's some other announcements. But and Reese, I hate to put you on the spot, but maybe you could help us think of a way as you leave.
Well, if I could jump into like, I don't go to the Verona High School website very often, but
Yeah.
is there a section that has student groups on it?
Yes,
Okay.
with a current updated list of
Is there a current
clubs at
update?
And
BHS.
they do have
Does
the,
it have
the
who-
thing at the beginning of the year.
Right, but do they have who to contact? 'Cause I did ask a guidance counselor once for the contact for Black and Verona, and she's like, I have no.
That's,
I think if we check out that part of the website, because you would imagine that that part of the website should have, here's the club description, here's the person to contact, here's when they meet, here's the goals and objectives of the
Oh, you would
organization.
hope. I don't know.
But if we
Look
don't have
right
it, you
now.
know, I don't know if we still have a high school principal here, but that's something that, you know, would be a great recommendation to create.
You know,
next year.
It would also help us get
I-
the students to go into some of these clubs. Because there's some
Yes,
great clubs.
the advisors are here.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
and I think,
Okay, then
I
missed
mean,
that, sorry.
to
Bad.
that one point, the one problem I have with both my kids, and I'm going to assume that yours are the same way, is they never read their emails, right? And so I guess my question to Reese is there more creative digital ways that you can communicate this, whether it's through an Insta field or, you know, however you guys communicate now?
I did a
Oh.
60 student survey on this at the start when I was like starting out in
Oh,
this.
yeah.
And actually like emails, announcements, posting in schools were most effective, whereas not as
Really?
many people checked social media for school related stuff.
Really?
The culture is that that's not where they find it, so then why would they go?
Oh, again, I learned something.
Thank
Reese.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, so are we, roll call, right?
Yeah.
And you can-
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Frizella?
Yes.
Mrs. Prisco?
Yes.
Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to, there's nothing for facilities. Moving on to our finance resolutions. I need a motion to approve E1 through E6.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Waka, seconded
second.
by Ms. Virzella. Are there any discussions? Mr. Cruz, if you could please call roll.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Frizella?
Yes.
Mrs. Prisco?
Yes.
Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Moving on to governance and policy, I need a motion, please, to approve resolutions F1 to F2. F3, sorry. Thank you. F3.
Just have one question on F2. How much of a time commitment is that?
Question?
Uh-huh.
Probably half an hour in total. And they're required to do that.
Right.
We only have to do one because we don't transport kids back and forth to schools. If you transport students via bus back and forth to school, you have to do two.
Even if those students do not use the bus, like if they're not on the,
If you are a bus transporting school district, you have to do two.
Question, use my words carefully, but for F1, that has nothing to do with what the executive sessions or anything,
No,
right?
the resolution that is on there, the one that was added, so it's probably not on your paper copy.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
on here that we, yeah. So I can read it if you'd like to hear it.
also on the digital version.
It's on the digital version, but it says whereas the Verona
Okay.
Board of Education heard an
Fair enough.
appeal
That's fair.
by
Mhm.
parents of student 251112 involving harassment, intimidation, and bullying, investigation and determination. Now therefore be it resolved that the Verona Board of Education affirms the administration's HIV determination and directs the board president and superintendent to communicate this decision to the parents in writing.
Okay.
Thank you. Did we motion? We didn't motion. Motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Waka, seconded by Mr. Boone. Mr. Cruz, if you could please call roll.
Sure. Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Frizella?
Yes.
Mrs. Prisco?
Yes.
Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to our public comment. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any matter, please approach the podium. Once recognized, clearly state your first and last name for the record. You will have 3 minutes to address the board. There will be no cross dialogue during this public portion. If there is a question that can be answered, only the superintendent, board attorney, or board president can respond, and will do so at the end of the comments. You will be granted 1 time to speak, and there is a total time of 1 hour for public participation. Again, please note there will be no back and forth, and we request that you please remain respectful. Thank you. Anyone?
Lisa Fresky, Hillside Ave in Verona. I just wanted to join the Reese party. I want to thank President Prisco for inviting me to come. It was an honor to serve with you. And to Reese's point, I watched your interview with New Jersey School Board's Mr. Pinney. And a lot of the things you said, I think are really good lessons for the board, for the adults, and not only in Verona, but throughout the state, because it's a two-way street. And you embraced the role head on and showed up in such a big way. And I commend the adults sitting at this board for welcoming you, inviting you to the committee meetings, to the retreats, because it's a two-way street. And to your point, that's why it works so well. So kudos to everybody sitting up here. It was amazing. And I do want to thank the board. You guys had amazing conversations tonight. Ms. Frizella, for your insight onto the pilot money. It's a big issue. I was on the board for 9 years. It started maybe 5 years before that. So we're looking at a 15, 16-year time span of not receiving pilot funds. And the last joint meeting between the Board of Ed and the town council was maybe almost 10 years ago. So it would be a great thing. Mrs. Prisco, I heard you at the council meeting when you did speak, you did invite them for a joint meeting. It would be awesome. I think Mr. Walker's point of maybe putting a letter to their correspondence and really keeping the public informed on it, because it's money, anything north of 0 would help us. And I think it's a really important topic. So thank you all for your continued work, and congratulations, Reese.
Well
And
said.
Thank you, Ms. Freshy, for like taking time out of your day, like sitting with me for half an hour at a time, like for a few weeks there to just guide me through the board policies and procedures. And that was incredible. And thank you so much for that. I knew.
Thank you, Ms. Freshy. Is there anyone else who would like to come up to the public?
Hi, Dan Gould from Durrell Street, kind of following up on some things from last week. So when we look at our schools, we should see not just the institution, but the heart of our community, a place where the values of justice, respect, and protection should reign supreme. However, recent events have showed real failures in upholding these principles in our town. Let's start with some context of this conflict, which was talked about last session. Things like the statement made in a previous meeting of little girls lie. That dismissive attitude is not just ignorant, it's dangerous. It tells our kids, all kids, but especially girls, that their voices don't matter. Another man had made a pointed remark to some parents with a statement, if you don't like it, move. What kind of community are we fostering here? We're supposed to be the adults in the room, not the bullies. It's not just inappropriate, it fosters the hostile and toxic environment that should never be tolerated. This is an honest call for united action. We can't allow our school to devolve into a place where childish side-taking and threats are the norm. We have to really, truly come together in this mission to create a safe and nurturing environment for all students. Anything less is unacceptable. The children deserve to feel safe, heard, and respected. They deserve an environment where their well-being is the top priority. It's about ensuring from every angle that our school is a safe sanctuary for all children, free from fear, free from discrimination, and free from retaliation. I'm here because I know that we can do better, and we must do better together. Let's make Verona schools a beacon of safety, respect, and unity. Our kids are watching, and they deserve nothing less. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gould, for your comments.
Can I just point out that no one on this board or administration made a comment like that? So we can't control what the public says.
Right. Yeah. No. Is there anyone else from the public?
Hi, my name is Liz Keeter. I live on Oak Ridge. I just want to address those tonight that find the allegations of sexual abuse at FN Brown disturbing or unbelievable. As a medical practitioner of women's health, I have seen firsthand what sexual trauma can do to a woman, let alone a child. Yes, the allegations are disturbing, and it is unbelievable that we have seen a little girl go from innocent and carefree to scarred with trauma that is triggered not just by the sight of her abuser or the school where it was allowed to occur, but by the fear of who she might see come around the corner at a restaurant or the town pool. When triggered, I have seen her change from happy and smiling to a ball of anger and sadness. I have personally witnessed her become startled and scared when I tried to go next to her in a public bathroom stall and she didn't know who I was. I have seen her change in an instant while playing a softball game and then triggered by the sight of a friend of the boy. While she has been dedicated to her trauma therapy, these are things she will have to learn to manage for her entire life. As a concerned parent in this community, how can I ensure that my children are safe in these schools? I want to understand why her teacher shamed her when she tried to tell her what happened. Why wasn't she given the benefit of the doubt and immediately sheltered from the situation? I want to understand why leadership was not informed right away. What were the policies and protocols required when an allegation like this was made? Were those followed in a way that can be confirmed? The trauma forced in this child is disturbing. What is unbelievable is the negligence displayed by the school district in the face of that trauma. This experience has left parents of this town extremely worried about the safety of our children. It is the job of the school to protect students and to notify leadership and law enforcement when an allegation of this kind arises and you failed. What assurances can you provide that it won't happen again?
Thank you, Ms. Keeter, for your comment. Is there anyone else?
Paul Petrangeli, 9 Martin Road. I just have a few notes. Mine aren't written down. Basically, we get our time up here. It's our First Amendment to say what we want. You guys don't condone anything or agree with anything publicly, so I'm going to say what I have to say. Before I came to the meetings before, I knew nothing about this situation, just what I read. When I read what I read in the media, I have my own opinion, and that's all that matters to me because I read between the lines. When I started reading the article, I was furious, but I also questioned many things, like if this happened. Also, first off, my opinion is yes, she lied. She's making it up, but that's just my opinion. So girls do lie, and you can pick anybody's name out of a hat and just say this guy did it nowadays. So anyway, why would the parents send the child 20 plus times back to school? Is one not too many? 15, 16, 17. Second child in school. Wouldn't you take your first child out? Wouldn't you take your second child out? Little question. A little boy is also being humiliated, mocked. Many things are being said about him. So I'd like to know what is being done for this little boy. Also, why the teachers and everybody didn't step up is a good question once everything comes out and you guys are allowed to speak on it. But where were the parents? That's a good question, isn't it? Also, to me, 87% of things like this happen in the home, 3% happen in the school. So to me, I just look at facts sometimes, and like I said before, I read between the lines. Otherwise, yeah, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. I don't care. This is my opinion. It's based on what I read and how I look at a lawsuit. When somebody can write a lawsuit, anybody can file a lawsuit, whether it's the mother, the father, the uncle, the brother, some random person, anybody can file a lawsuit. So to me, yeah, I believe a little girl lied. That's all I got to say. And a little boy is suffering right now. And I want to know, what are we doing as a school board to keep that mother or that liar out of Verona? Just the same way we're wondering, what are we doing about the boy? What are we doing about this crazy family and what they might be looking for money? Because that's what I think, and that's my opinion. And I am an American, and I'm allowed to say it, and I don't care who agrees with me. And I didn't know anything about Reese, but every time I came, Reese, you're freaking awesome. You're gonna succeed in life. So far, I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope you come back to Verona when you are very successful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. I'm Connie Allen. I have tried to come the last few meetings, but I'm a track coach and we just finished our season. I have two kids in the system. I have a high schooler, queer high school kid, and a little one in FN Brown. Everything that's been happening has disrupted everything in my future in Verona, because I don't feel that we are safe. Like I said, she's a little girl. I don't want that to happen to her, regardless of allegation, not allegation. The fact is, somebody accused someone else of something of this magnitude. Has this been taken serious? Has anybody interviewed the child? Has anybody interviewed any of these children to see where this happened and where why they are lying? I don't believe kids lie. I believe kids lie to get a lollipop. I believe kids lie to get something that they want in the moment. I don't think my daughter's a liar. I don't think my teenage child is a liar. I think kids say something because they actually know what happened. I have a couple of questions here. Has anyone evaluated that boy that's still in the school district? My daughter walks around the school building and there's an alleged abuser walking around there. I don't want that to happen to my child. Do you want that to happen to your daughters or your children? I hope the answer is no. But again, has anybody taken anything and anything towards it to make sure that maybe it didn't happen? I don't know. Again, I don't know this. I don't know any of these families. I have no personal agenda towards anyone. I just care about my child. And I don't think anyone has done anything to make sure that this didn't happen. I really want to know what you guys are doing. And I will demand that the Board of Education open a full investigation about this child to make sure what happened. And until that happened, that boy to be removed from the school district, because I do not feel safe when my daughter walks around in that school building, when there's an alleged child abuser walking around right there next to her as well. And again, I want to make it very clear. I don't know any of these families, but I just want to protect my daughter, and so she can continue her education in Verona in general, and I should feel safe with her walking around the building. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to let you know, because you haven't been here, we can't speak to any of the questions you just asked. Okay.
Thank you for your comment.
Victoria Weiss Yildirim. I have two kids in the district, a third grader and a seventh grader. I would like to ask more specifically about the training for the teachers in the district. My third grade daughter has been in the same class as the victim of the court case from kindergarten to second grade, or victims, I should say. And it's pretty evident that the lack of adequate training exists for all the teachers. I say victims because I believe that all the children are the victims of inadequate training and inaction of the school administration. I've seen firsthand what adequate training looks like, and I'm sorry to say Verona does not have the adequate training from what I have seen. I'd like to share with you a true personal story experience from when my older daughter was in first grade in New York City, where we lived prior to Verona. She was involved in an abusive situation by another child, which actually did not occur in the school. But our teacher's training, a first grade teacher, immediately noticed and took action. She noticed the change of behavior of my daughter and asked my daughter, who could not verbalize what happened to her, to draw a picture of what was bothering her, which my daughter did, and she was able to discuss the events with her. The teacher immediately contacted me and showed me my daughter's heart-wrenching picture, and I was able to right away stop the contact with the other child. To our knowledge, it was the only time it happened, and it stopped immediately due to this amazing teacher's level of training and her ability to take action. And we will always be grateful to her as she prevented my daughter from who knows how much suffering and trauma that could have resulted if she had done nothing. I don't believe that this teacher was any bit more amazing than the teachers we have here in FM Brown. But she was trained properly and she took appropriate action. And I can tell you, I don't feel that my children are are as safe here as they were in New York City schools due to the lack of training and the lack of action by the school administration. I think parents want to hear the specifics regarding training for teachers and not just the yearly training that's administered to fulfill a training checkbox. If you can, please elaborate on the specific training they receive and let's evaluate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else that would like to come to the podium?
I was going to put my timer on, but I'm not going to because I wasn't planning on speaking. I was here just to listen, to see what everybody had to say. But
What was your name, ma'am?
Arzu Kaufman.
you.
I am not going to stay quiet and listen to the comment that was just made. I'm just not. This little girl is not lying. Her life has been hell. And she's going currently, as we speak, she's going through hell because of something that happened on Friday where she saw an FM Brown boy and had a reaction to it. She is not lying. Anybody who says she is ignorant. And they want to stay ignorant because they're not asking questions. Questions can be asked and answers can be given. She is not lying. Anybody here who wants to ask me a question about everything I know about this, and I know more than a lot of people do about what has happened, come and ask me. Use me as your resource. Anybody watching this video out there, which a lot of people are going to be watching these videos, do not believe that she did not lie, that she lied. She did not lie. Come, ask me, Arzu Kaufman. Come to me, find me, I don't care. I'll tell you what happened. She did not lie. And her parents letting this happen to her for 20 times, that is ridiculous. You think a parent would let this happen? They did not know that this was happening. They were trying their hardest to find out what was going. Their little girl was turning and doing things, and she was behaving badly, and they were trying to figure out. Not badly, she was just traumatized. Nobody recognized it. Okay? The parents were desperately trying. So do not say that. Do not say that parents are involved. She has the two most loving parents in the world. Do not insinuate that that's a possibility because it's not. And for us to stay quiet and take those comments and use freedom of speech as a way to make those comments is disgusting. Please educate yourself. Ask questions. And if you read an article that's very biased, that's not information. Read the court case. Look at all the information out there. There's nothing that the article states that compares to the court case. Go read it and educate yourself and stop being ignorant.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Thank you. Public comment and moving on. Our next scheduled public meeting will be held on Thursday, June 27th, 2024, beginning with confidential session at 6 p.m. and public session at 7 p.m. in the Verona High School Learning Commons. I need a motion, please, to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Boone, second by Mr. Waka. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. It is 8:12 PM. I am officially adjourning the meeting. Thank you and good luck to everyone on graduation.
Please don't leave.
And congratulations. Reese, do not leave.